Carmen Snedeker had the ideal life in upstate New York with her husband and 4 children. When her son Philip was 13, he was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. The closest facility capable of treating childhood cancers was in Hartford, Connecticut. They were making the 300-mile round trip 5 times a week for Philip's treatment. The radiation treatment burned his skin from the inside. Carmen was afraid that the trips would kill her faster than the cancer, so she had to make the decision to move to Connecticut in order for her son Philip to be closer to the hospital. Many of the rental agencies Carmen spoke with wouldn't rent to families with more than 2 children. Finally, she found a townhouse that they could rent. Sight unseen, they bought it. When they moved in, the house looked perfectly normal, but it wasn't. Above every doorway was a crucifix. Alan said it was once a funeral home. The basement still had some of the mortuary equipment used to prepare the bodies for burial, and Carmen didn't really want her son constantly being reminded of his own mortality. She didn't really want them to be there much longer than they needed to be, but Alan reminded her that they didn't really have a choice. Alan returned to New York to work, leaving Carmen to get the house and all 4 kids settled. Carmen blocked off the embalming room, hiding it as best as she could, and put Philip's room in the basement. It was close to a bathroom for his reoccurring nausea, and she could easily hear if he needed help. The very first night in the house, Philip was awakened by someone saying his name. He went to Carmen, who had been on the phone with Alan. She reassured her son that with the way the sound travels in an empty house, he had to have heard it from her talking to his father. Philip was already convinced that the house was evil and wanted to leave. One day, Carmen noticed that the crucifix in what had been the morgue had disappeared, yet the nail that had held it in was undisturbed. Philip, Brad, and AJ explored the area under the basement counters. AJ saw a stain on the floor. His hand was touching something dark and sticky. Brad said they were getting freaked out and spooked. They ran upstairs white as sheets and told Carmen there was blood coming out of the walls. She thought it was just paint, and the boys had frightened themselves by going into a part of the house they had no business being in. Philip told his mother that not only was he hearing voices, one night he began seeing things that weren't there. Carmen chalked it up to the radiation treatment affecting his head. Philip shared the room downstairs with Brad. One night, they both saw 4 figures standing in the corner near Brad's toy robot. The toy was going crazy. The 4 figures turned as one looked at the boys. Brad was terrified. They sprinted upstairs to Carmen, who headed down to investigate. The boys were right beside her, still scared to death. She ran through the entire basement, even the unused parts, to see if there was anyone there. They found nothing. Carmen went back into the kitchen to call the police and discovered the crucifix over the door was gone. Carmen called a family meeting and told Philip he wasn't to tell his younger siblings ghost stories. She didn't want to hear it anymore. One day, Brad came home from school to find Philip moving his bed into the embalming room. Philip had said that he had made a deal, quote for quote. That frightened Carmen, as she was Catholic and wasn't happy that her son had made a deal with anything that she didn't know about. Whatever Philip was seeing and hearing, the doctors assured them that it was the medication. He was becoming more withdrawn, he rarely smiled, and Carmen wanted her son back. The second summer in the house, their cousins Kim, Tammy, came to visit. Withdrawn Philip showed no enthusiasm at his cousin's being there. Philip began keeping a journal. Brad tried to bug him about it, but Philip just sat there and stared at his brother. It was a look that sent chills up Brad's spine. Tammy was helping Carmen clean the house, tidying Philip's room, when she found the journal. She didn't want to invade Philip's privacy, but she was worried and gave the journal to Carmen. The pages are very dark, full of notes about death, murder, and killing. Something struck Carmen. She began to wonder if the words were actually Philip's. Her oldest son, Philip, was dyslexic. She'd spent years trying to get him to properly write the alphabet, and here were complex words perfectly written. When she asked her son, Philip replied that the quote-unquote man helped them write. Philip's personality was changing. He was becoming more aggressive. Any argument between Philip and Brad quickly escalated to a fistfight. When Tammy tried to intervene, Philip walked into her room and tore it apart. When she tried to stop him, he threw her across the room as though she was nothing. Tammy was trying to sleep one night, and something began pulling the covers off of her bed. She told Carmen about it, as well as the feeling that something was pulling at her bra strap. While Tammy was obviously frightened, Carmen refused to believe it was a ghost. She thought it was Philip. Carmen called her son's doctor, explaining what was going on. The doctor replied that she was describing schizophrenia and began the process of having Philip committed. That night at dinner, Carmen did her best to pretend everything was fine. She even made Philip's favorite dinner, but the men in white didn't even knock. They just walked into the house and carried Philip out. Carmen had wanted to believe Philip, but every time she investigated Philip's stories, she hadn't been able to prove any of it. She had to make sure that the other children were safe. As they put the straitjacket on her son, Philip told her that now that he was gone, they were going to come after her. Carmen did not want to believe her son because he was quote-unquote crazy, and she, just to prove him wrong, went and sat on the stairs to Philip's room, daring this quote-unquote man to come and play with her. She sat there for hours, and nothing ever appeared. As she was taking a shower, Carmen was enveloped in a shower curtain. It was tight around her face, slowly smothering her, and she couldn't push it away. Carmen called for Tammy, and Tammy wasn't able to rip a hole in the curtain so her aunt could breathe. Philip's prediction was coming true. Tammy awoke in the middle of the night with the feeling that whatever had been after Carmen was now coming for her. Something ripped the covers off of Tammy, and Tammy ran and got her aunt. Carmen grabbed her Bible and noticed on her way out of her bedroom, the last crucifix in the house, the one over her bedroom door, had disappeared. Carmen took Tammy into bed and began reading aloud from the Bible. Tammy immediately felt something approaching. A hand began rising under Tammy's clothes, groping her as it moved up. Carmen could see the bones in the hand and the wrist under the cloth. Carmen grabbed Tammy and they ran to the dining room. Tammy could feel it coming for them. It grabbed the rosary around Tammy's neck and scattered it to the floor. An exorcism was performed on the house, and the Santa Cruz moved out. Racked with guilt over what she'd done to her son, Carmen got Philip out of the mental hospital. In a later interview, Philip understood that his mother was trying to be strong, but he had felt that he betrayed her by what she had done. also understood how evil could creep in and reside in a person. After 24 years, Philip's cancer returned, and he died of January of 2012. Hello everybody, and thank you for making it to the end of the video. So I just want to make a quick little announcement and say that actually today's first video was my first ever Ed in the Rain Warren case. I will be uploading another video on Friday, another Ed in the Rain Warren case as well. So yeah, so if you're watching this video and you've made it this far, please check out the rest of my channel. It would really mean a lot, and every view I really appreciate. And one of my videos right now is at about 600 views, and that is absolutely insane. So I really do appreciate the like, the comments, anything that you can possibly give time towards. It would really seriously mean a lot. So anyway, hope you guys have a good one. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you have a mellow day.